Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll be going over how to properly set up VS Code for React development. Before I get started, you'll notice that I'm on Windows, so your steps might be a little bit different if you're on Mac, but it should be mostly the same. You'll notice that I have this VS Code test folder on my desktop. This is just an easily accessible empty folder, and I recommend that you make one as well before you get started because we'll need it later. The first thing we need to do before we install VS Code is to install Node.js. So I'll look up Node.js download and use the 64-bit installer for Windows. This might take a few seconds. Okay, so now we have the setup wizard. Just go through the steps. You can use the defaults for everything, pretty simple. Okay, and once you're done, you can just hit finish, and then we're ready to actually download VS Code. So you can look up VS Code download, and download for Mac or Windows respectively. You can use all the defaults for this installation as well, and I'll skip ahead to the end since it'll take a couple of minutes. Okay, awesome. So VS Code finished downloading and we now have it open. The first thing that you'll want to do is open that blank folder you created earlier. For me, that's in desktop and it's called VS Code test. So we'll open that up. You can see all your files would be shown on the left, but right now there aren't any. We'll change that quickly. You're going to want to open a new terminal by hitting terminal up at the top here and then clicking new terminal. And you'll want to install Create React App. Create React App is awesome because it automatically creates all the files and packages and things that you need to start developing in React. So you'll do that with npm install -g. The -g makes it global, so you don't have to install it again, and then create -react-app. And if you get an error saying that npm can't be found or whatever, what you can do is drop down here, hit select default shell, and then change it to command prompt. Then you'll want to open a new terminal and do it through there. Afterwards, you should be able to change it back to PowerShell, and it'll have kind of found out where your npm is. It just depends. Sometimes you get this error, sometimes you won't. So now let's install Create React App. Okay, perfect, it's done. And now we'll go ahead and create our first React app. So we'll do npx. We do npx instead of npm because it uses the most recent version. Create React App, and then we'll name it Test App. As you can see, it has a bunch of packages to install, and it might take a couple of minutes, so I'll come back when it's done. Okay, awesome. So it finished installing, and you can see that it suggests we begin by typing cd test app into that new folder, and then starting the app with npm start. So we'll do just that, cd test app. And if we open that, we can see all these things that have been created. There are all these node modules which we don't need to get into. There's public, which have some files like the favicon for the site. And then what you'll mostly be working in, which is src, and this has all the files, including the JavaScript for the app. So let's go ahead and start it with npm start, and it should open in your browser window. Takes a second to load, and there we go. This is the default app. It's saying edit src app/js and save to reload. So that's back in VS Code. That's this right here. So if we wanted to change it, we could say and save to reload, and we could put hello world, whatever. Now we save it. And now if we go back to that Chrome window, you can see that our edits have shown up. So that's kind of the essence of it. Now you'll be editing this file and making your React app to whatever you want it to be. And that's pretty much the basics of it. There are a few more packages to install later, such as Bootstrap and Formic if you want to do forms a little bit easier. But that's for the base of it. There are a couple of personalization things that I like to do. This is just personal preference, but I'll go over the things that I prefer. So the first thing is extensions. You can use the formatter they have, or you can use a custom formatter. I prefer Prettier. So you click this button right here, you go to extensions, and you can search Prettier, and then you hit install. Okay, so now it's installed. Next, you'll want to go to settings and look for a couple of things. So you can open settings either through File, Preferences, Settings, or Control Comma, which is the shortcut. And the first thing we want to look up is Format. These three checkboxes are what we want to check. This is personal preference, but I prefer to have it format every time I paste code in, every time I save the file, or every time I type a line, it'll format the code to my preferences. Okay, so after you've checked these boxes, then look up detect. And what you want to do, I prefer to turn this off because basically then this relates to tab size. So if you have a file where the tab size is 2 and you open it, then and your default tab size is 4, it's going to keep that file's tab size of 2, whereas I prefer it to be consistent across all my files. So I turned that off. Both of these are already on, and then the editor's tab size should be 4 because it's 4 spaces. And then we need to look up, last but not least, prettier to change it for prettier as well, to make sure that it also has a tab width of 4. See, it's 2, so we change that to 4. So that's good. And then finally, we'll want to do Control-Shift-P, which opens up this search window. Look for document, format document, with, and then do configure default formatter and hit prettier. Now, we would save it. You can see those tab widths have increased from 2 to 4. I find it a lot more readable. Again, that's just personal preference. And you can hit this to go back to your files, and this is extensions. If you look up material icons, material icon theme, you install this. I just prefer the look of these icons a lot better. Doesn't really matter. Hit set file icon theme, and then you go back, and you can see these all have their own little icons, and I find them a lot more pleasing and easy to follow. Again, this is a preference thing, so you can change it or not. But that's pretty much it. Now you're ready to code your React app.